Hello everyone. It's been a little while, hasn't it? How are we all doing? So today we are going to be talking about everybody's favorite little blue mascot. None other than good old Sonic the Hedgehog. We all know who Sonic is, right? Or at least who he's become. In recent years, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding Sonic, especially when it comes to the games. There's this huge ongoing argument fans are having about what the last good Sonic game was. Some people would say the franchise fell off when the 2D era ended. Other people would argue that their personal favorite 3D Sonic game is the last good Sonic game. But I think most people would agree that a massive chunk of the fanbase argues that this Sonic game was not only the last good Sonic game, but the greatest Sonic game of all time. I'm talking about Sonic Adventure 2, which is a game that still receives high amounts of praise every day despite almost being 20 years old. Whether you like this game or not, you can't deny that it played a monumental role in the franchise and changed it forever. To tell you truthfully, I don't know exactly where I stand on the whole last good Sonic game debate, but I will say that Sonic Adventure 2 is my favorite Sonic game of all time. I would even say with 100% confidence that this is one of my favorite games of all time. There are a lot of fans of this game who are extremely devoted to it. These are the type of people who will spend every waking moment on Twitter begging Sonic Team for just one more Chow Garden. Although I've never been that intense, I hold this game in high regard just like a ton of other people, and it's been that way ever since I played it for the first time when I was 10 years old. I grew up absolutely glued to this game. I was always looking forward to weekends or holiday breaks so that I could cement myself to a chair all day and play Sonic Adventure 2. For a large portion of my life, this game is all that I played. As much as that sounds like a bizarre exaggeration, it's true. It's all that I played, ever. Even as I started to expand my horizons and began to play other games, I always went back to Sonic Adventure 2. Now I don't know how strong other people's dedication was to this game, but every other Sonic Adventure 2 fan I've spoken to has said that the game holds such a special place in their heart. Unfortunately, I definitely don't have nearly as much time as I did when I was a kid, but I always end up playing Sonic Adventure 2 at least once a year. Why is that though? Why has a game that I played almost 13 years ago dug its claws so deep into my brain? To put it in the simplest of terms, the gameplay continues to win my heart year after year. Is the gameplay perfect? No, not by any means. But I always have such a great time going back to this game. When you start the game, you're presented with the hero and the dark story. Eventually, when you beat those, you will unlock the final story, which is ultimately the end of the game. There are 3 different types of gameplay between each of those stories, but for right now our main focus is going to be the hero and the dark story, which takes us through the game looking at a hero versus villain perspective. The gameplay for a character on one side of the story is going to mirror the gameplay for a character on the other side of the story. So for example, Sonic and Shadow have these fast-paced platforming levels. Tails and Eggman share these mech shooting stages, and Knuckles and Rouge share these exploration treasure hunt stages. Although the gameplay is supposed to be similar to one another, all of these stages feel like they were created to reflect the personality of the character that you're playing at that time. From the designs of the stages to the soundtracks, there's so much charm that these unique levels brings to the characters and their separate goals. And with details like these added, it helps the game as a whole thrive. If you've read the title of the video, you're probably thinking, what does any of this have to do with the actual video? And to that I say back off, because we're finally getting there, okay? I've recently done my yearly playthrough of Sonic Adventure 2, and I decided that I wanted to nitpick all the stages so that I could pinpoint just what I love or what I don't love about them. I know I stated earlier that I don't have a lot of time, but just because I'm busy doesn't mean I have my priorities straight. And so for each character, after I played their levels, I kept a document open all day and I nitpicked away. And is there any better way to anger people on the internet than by sharing your opinions with them? No, there's not. Predictably, I'll be starting with Sonic because the game is called Sonic Adventure 2, but I do plan on doing this with every character from the game. In order for people to understand this better, I will be laying out everything in a good old-fashioned list. For each character, I will be ranking all of their stages from my least favorites to my favorites. Maybe I will do this in the future, but for these videos, I will not be including anything from the final story, and I will not be including bosses. Also, in this special case, I will not be including Green Hill Zone because that isn't a part of the main story. Again, these are my opinions, and it's okay if we don't share the same thoughts or feelings. You do you. Finally, without further ado, let's start with why this stage is my least favorite Sonic stage. Not to start out on an extremely negative note or anything, but I am so incredibly passionate about how much I despise this stage. I have played this level 1,000,002 times, and it has never, ever become any more fun. Even if you get used to it and have a grasp on how to make your way around, the whole entire level just seems aimless to me. I don't know what it is, but there's something so frustrating to me about running around and constantly, literally constantly, having to avoid getting vaporized by the grandchildren of chaos. What are these things? I think that in concept, the gravity parts could have been really cool, but overall they just kind of feel clunky to play. And just when you think the anti-gravity sections can't get any worse, they add this headache-inducing tribute to Tetris. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like if they wanted to scrap this level, they absolutely could have. So, Final Rush to me feels as if it's Crazy Gadget's more superior twin brother, which is a fitting description given the game we're talking about here. And although I'm not the biggest fan of this level, I think that it's definitely more tolerable than Crazy Gadget. I actually really like how colorful this level is, and despite the model of the Earth being a little gawky and a bit distracting, I think it's a cool indicator for how high up in space we actually are, and I think it's cool that they included that level of detail. Speaking of distracting, the constant beeping in this level, I still don't know what's up with that. Overall, I think this level is okay. I wouldn't willingly go back and play this level, but I don't necessarily hate it. So if you haven't already, I feel like this is where people might start to question me a little bit, but hear me out. I have mixed feelings on Green Forest. I really like the design of the level, and the overall look of the level I think is beautiful. I think it's cool that there are multiple paths that you can take. I really like the music for this one though. I think it fits the level perfectly. It also kind of amplifies your need to get off the island before it explodes. I like this level a lot. I don't know if it's because there is a need for you to go fast and to get off the island as quick as possible, but I sometimes feel like when I finish the stage that I didn't really do anything but run forward. That might be confusing considering Sonic's whole thing since his date of birth has been going fast, but I will expand on why I prefer the remaining stages over this one. It was a little bit of a hard decision to put Pyramid Cave before Green Forest, but there are a couple pretty big factors that helped me make that decision. I know that there are a lot of scattered opinions on Pyramid Cave, but I really adore this one. There is a maze-like feel to this level, but to me it doesn't feel suffocating. What does feel suffocating are those extremely irritating ghosts. But besides those horrible abominations, there are a lot of added challenges to this level that makes me enjoy playing it more. You could have a seemingly flawless run, you'll get hit with that C rank every single time, and as frustrating as that is to experience, it motivates me as the player to explore so much more of the level, and it encourages me to jump through tons of hoops and do a ton of tricks and build up as much points as possible. This whole stage looks and feels like a fun house, and I've always really enjoyed that. Also, the music for this level is I really, really, really love this level with all of my heart. I think that a level like City Escape is the best way they could have started this game. It is a perfect example of how to just throw someone into a game because the level is easy enough to figure out as you go along, but it doesn't feel like a tutorial. To this day, City Escape remains as one of Sonic's most memorable levels since he came to 3D. And the soundtrack for the level, Escape to the City, I don't use this word lightly, but it's iconic. It's one of those rare stages where you can just play it on repeat constantly and you'll never get tired of it. It's so fun and it's so lighthearted that for the majority of the level, you forget that there are government agencies hunting you down so they can lock you up never to see daylight ever again. And then that reminder hits you like a truck. Literally, like a truck. When I was a child and I played this for the very first time, I was not expecting that giant truck. But then when I finished the level, I was so incredibly thrilled. I thought that was one of the most fun things I had ever played. Almost 15 years later, that feeling has not changed, and that is why City Escape is so high on my list. Even though I love City Escape and my love for it is so strong, it did not get my number one, and I will explain why. I think that Metal Harbor is a fantastic stage. Even though this is kind of a short stage, you feel this rush of adrenaline the whole entire time you're playing it. This level introduces you to the light dash or the ring dash, whatever you want to call it. I thought it was one of the coolest things in the world when I was younger. With boosts around every corner, loops, the addition of the light dash, this level just feels so smooth to play through. I'm in love with that feeling of swiftly charging through enemies across all those different platforms. I know that I bring up the music for these levels a lot, but I think the soundtrack for this level adds so much to an atmosphere that's already so electrifying. And I don't know what it is, but it feels so rewarding to finally get to that rocket. To me, this level just feels incredible from start to finish. I think it's amazing that in such a short amount of time, this level brings me such an intense feeling of happiness every single time that I get to play it. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. We got through the first one, which is super exciting to me. This is an idea that's been buzzing in my head for a very long time, but I just wasn't sure how I wanted to go about it. But I figured it out. Like I said, I plan on doing this with all the characters, and I'm excited to, make these and put these together. I know I don't upload very often. YouTube is not really something that I want to do all the time. It's just kind of like a thing to do when I'm bored or I have time and energy. And let me tell you, this year has not been good for either of those things. But I'm gonna stop rambling, and thank you for those who have supported me throughout everything and the things that I have uploaded, and it's been really cool to see people like what I post. That's something I would have never imagined. So thank you, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day or night or midday or midnight, whatever. I'll never be good at outros.